You know that moment when you open your banking app and you don't really know why you're opening it. Nothing bad happened, nothing good happened, you're just checking. Almost like if you stare at the number long enough, it might do something different this time. And you scroll through the transactions: coffee, groceries, rent, that subscription you forgot you even had, and you start doing that quiet math in your head. You know the one. If I just have a really good month, if nothing unexpected happens, if I don't mess this up, and then another month goes by, and another, and you're working, you're trying, you're not irresponsible, but it still feels like you're stuck on one of those airport moving walkways that's going the wrong direction. You're walking, but somehow you're not getting anywhere. Honestly, it's draining. And floating around in the background of all this is that number people love to throw around: $100,000. The first $100,000. People talk about it like it's a magic threshold, like once you cross it, money stress evaporates and everything suddenly makes sense. But when you're sitting there with $4,000 saved, or $18,000, or be nothing at all, that number feels fake, distant, almost annoying, like advice meant for someone else. And I've spent way too much time thinking about this, about money and behavior, and why some people slowly build wealth while others feel stuck for decades. My name's Nick, and I genuinely spend an unhealthy amount of mental energy thinking about money psychology and patterns and the little decisions people don't even realize they're making. And the thing I want to talk to you about today, the thing that actually changes how you approach money, this quiet truth that almost nobody emphasizes enough. The first $100,000 is not about money. It's about discipline. And if that really sinks in, like actually sinks in, it changes how you see every dollar from this point forward. Even if you're nowhere near that number yet, especially if you're nowhere near it, because here's the thing. The reason $100,000 feels so heavy isn't just because it's a big number. It's because of what it represents emotionally. For most people, everything before that point feels fragile. Money is reactive. You're constantly responding: bills, emergencies, repairs, life. There's no margin, no buffer. One bad month can undo a year of progress, and that creates this constant low-grade stress that just hums in the background of your life. You might not even notice it anymore because it's been there for so long. I remember realizing that saving money didn't feel like building something solid. It felt like holding sand in my hands. No matter how careful I was, some of it always slipped through. A car issue, a medical bill, a move. Life always finds a way to test you. And here's what people get wrong. They think this feeling goes away when you earn more. It doesn't. Plenty of high-income people feel just as stressed as people making half as much. They just have bigger versions of the same problems. Bigger payments, bigger expectations, bigger consequences. The first $100,000 isn't powerful because of what it can buy. It's powerful because it represents control, margin, the ability to absorb life without panicking. But to get there, you don't need brilliance. You don't need a perfect investment strategy. You need to do a few simple things consistently for an uncomfortably long period of time. And that's where most people fall off. At some point, almost everyone tells themselves the same lie. Once I make more money, I'll get serious. Once I get that raise, once I switch jobs, once things stabilize, then I'll start saving properly. It sounds reasonable, responsible, even, but it's usually backwards, because money doesn't create discipline. Discipline reveals what you do with money. I've watched this play out so many times. Someone gets a raise and for a few months, everything feels lighter. There's relief, breathing room, and then, quietly, life expands. A slightly nicer place, a better car, more convenience, More I deserve this, and before they realize it, they're right back where they started, just with nicer stuff and the same anxiety. The uncomfortable truth is that the habits required to build your first $100,000 are almost identical whether you make $40,000 or $90,000. Track your spending. Spend intentionally. Delay gratification. Say no to things that feel harmless now but cost you later. That's discipline, not money. And yeah, that's frustrating because it means there's no shortcut, no single raise that saves you. But it's also empowering because it means you don't have to wait for your life to change before you start. Most people think saving is about accumulating dollars. It's not. It's about building a skill. Every time you don't spend money you could spend, you're training something inside you. Patience, restraint, self-trust. You're becoming someone who doesn't need to act on every impulse. And that sounds small, almost insignificant, but over time it compounds. The first $100,000 is proof that you can delay gratification for years, that you can stick to a plan when progress feels boring, that you don't need constant rewards to stay consistent. And once you've built that internal muscle, money starts compounding in two ways. Your investments compound, sure, but your behavior compounds too. And behavior, the real multiplier. There's a brutal middle phase in saving that almost no one talks about. The beginning feels exciting. Your first $1,000 feels huge. Your first $5,000 feels real. Even $10,000 feels impressive. But somewhere between $20,000 and $40,000, the emotional payoff drops off. You're no longer at zero. So progress doesn't feel dramatic, but you're still so far from $100,000 that the goal feels abstract. This is where people drift. They loosen the rules. They skip a few months. They justify upgrades. They tell themselves they'll get back on track later. And nothing terrible happens, which is exactly the problem. The damage is subtle, quiet, time-based. Discipline isn't tested when things are hard. It's tested when things are fine. Getting through this phase requires a shift in identity. You have to stop seeing yourself as someone who's temporarily trying to save and start seeing yourself as someone who saves. Period. Not when it's convenient. Not when motivation is high. Just who you are. The math behind $100,000 is actually pretty boring. And that's the point. If you save $1,000 a month, you'll get there in a little over 8 years. At $1,500 a month, it's about 5.5. At $2,000 a month, just over 4 years. None of those paths require genius. They require endurance. Showing up month after month, doing the same unexciting thing, with no applause and no visible transformation for a long time. That's discipline. And if you can do that once, you've basically proven you can do it forever. People love to ask what changes after $100,000. The honest answer, not everything. You don't wake up enlightened. You don't stop worrying entirely. You don't suddenly become immune to bad decisions. But something subtle shifts. Money stops feeling like a constant emergency. Small expenses don't derail you. You start thinking in years instead of months. And maybe most importantly, you trust yourself. You've seen what happens when you commit to a plan and stick with it. That confidence spills into other areas of your life. But if you reach $100,000 without discipline through luck or a one-time windfall, it doesn't stick. The money leaves the same way it came, because the discipline was never built. You don't need $100,000 to act like someone who has $100,000. You need a boring, automatic saving system. Fewer financial decisions, not more. Clear rules instead of vibes. And patience with slow progress. The most effective financial plans feel underwhelming. They're not exciting. They don't require constant tweaking. They just work if you let them, and letting them work is the hardest part. If you're feeling behind like everyone else figured something out that you missed, I want you to hear this clearly. You're not late. You're not broken. And you don't need to become a different person overnight. The first $100,000 isn't a test of intelligence. It's a test of consistency. It's about showing up when no one's watching, sticking with it when progress feels boring, trusting that small, disciplined actions compound, even when you can't see it yet. And if you can build that discipline once, you don't lose it. It stays with you, quietly, patiently, working in the background of your life. So wherever you are right now, 0, 10,000, 37,000, focus on becoming the kind of person who would eventually reach $100,000. The money will follow. Not fast, not dramatically, but reliably, and that's how real wealth is built.